Are you watching Alone Season 8? Does that striker look familiar? Let's see if it's any good. Good morning and welcome back to the woods. And I'm going to have to make an apology before I even start, and that's for the wind noise. It's really windy up here this morning. So, the strikers they're using with their ferro rods on Alone Season 8. Now, I've had one of these for a long time. In fact, I think I've got two of them. And this one's attached to my super duper ferro rod, which in a very old video I discussed. And it's basically a ferro rod with a spike, a fatwood handle and a sisal cord lanyard, which basically is tinder. Now this was covered in wax. You may be able to see a bit of it left. Over the last 3 years it's come off, but that's no big deal because this stuff lights really well anyway. And we've got fatwood on the handle. So this is a pretty good all-round ferro rod. Don't use it very often, mine, because it's a bit bulky. Well, I'm going to light the fire now with this, and obviously using this striker, and then afterwards I'm going to discuss whether this striker is better than the standard light my fire striker. Feather stick for ignition. And a slightly rougher one, so I'm going to use two. Gathered some nice little dry kindling on the way in, although my my stocks of nice dry kindling are diminishing now. That just means I've got to split more wood, which I quite enjoy anyway. I really like this star fire. that was pretty easy. Yeah, I know it took a few strikes, but to be honest with you, I never expect to light the feather stick first go with a striker. Yeah, I can do it sometimes with the back of a knife. You can take big peelings off and get a really good spark, but with a striker do usually have to use a few. But that's a good little striker, and to be honest with you, having that spike on the end of there to hold your feather stick down or whatever tinder is a bonus. But it's a pain in the backside to drill one of these. You really need a steady hand, and quite a few sparks come out of it. Seeing as I'm on the subject of a lawn, I'm sitting comfortably now having my cup of tea, I thought I'd share something with you. And obviously I like lighting fires, it's my thing. And about doing the bow drill on a lawn. Now, two of the guys decided not to take ferro rods and to start bow drill fires, which, if you're proficient, is a good idea, but in the long term it may not be. I was watching Clay's video where he discussed his 10 items after the event, and he said that he was contemplating not taking a ferro rod and doing a bow drill. He said he's proficient with a bow drill, and I'm sure he is, he's a very skilled guy, but he said that after a length of time, when you get tired, and because the wood is not hardwood there and it burns really quick, you can't load your fire up, go off for a few hours hunting or fishing or whatever, and come back, fire will be gone. And he said, do you really want to start a bow drill fire every time? Fair enough, quite right, but there is a way around that, and I'm sure a few of you probably realised it. And Dave Canterbury's been banging on about it for years. Second fire mentality. When you do a bow drill fire, get everything in place so the next fire isn't as difficult. Charred material, charred punk wood. Don't tell me there's no punk wood in that area, because there's bound to be. So charred punk wood, cotton, charred cloth, you know, your bandana, your shamag, they're all 100% cotton. Just cut a piece off. Do it that way. There was a challenge going around YouTube a good few years ago, and I picked up on it late, because I'm a late comer to this business. And Joe Robinette I saw it with, and it was basically, you light the fire with a bow drill, then the next fire is from the charred material you make and from a rock that you find. Well, he did it, and I think most people did it with paracord. Well, I actually tried it with willowbark, and it got it to work. I got it to work fine, no problem at all. So that's an option that, you know, could have been explored. Obviously, you will need to have a carbon steel tool to strike against, and you'd have to find a suitable rock. And I've used loads of different rocks for a striker light. I found a rock here underneath an uprooted tree, which really didn't look like it was going to work. It looked very sandy, but it actually did. I've smashed rocks on the coast and done it that way, and well, let's face it, there's plenty of rocks there because they're on the side of a lake, so I don't think rocks would be an issue. Making charred material, well, Mors Kochanski's way of making charred material was pretty simple, and that was splitting a log down so it's nice and flat, lighting your cotton, your denim or your whatever cotton material you've got, and as soon as it all goes black, smother it. And that's how Mors was making charred material, charred cloth. So that's pretty simple, you can do that. Lonnie from Far North Bushcraft showed in a video making charred punk without a tin, and I've tried that as well, and that worked. And that was basically, you put a layer of ferns or something on the ground, then you put a layer of dry material, then you put your smouldering char in, you put a layer of dry material on top of that, and then you put another layer of ferns or whatever on top of that. Well, of course you could, you know, use your jacket or something, because it's not going to burn, and you smother it, leave it a bit, come back to it, and that works as well. So there's plenty of ways to make charred material without having a tin. Oh yeah, and if you do follow me, you probably realise that you will get a spark out of a silky saw. And I think most of them on this season are carrying silky saws, so you will get a spark off a silky. You'll get a spark off an axe head as well, although I have found they're never really that good off an axe head, but a carbon steel knife is probably best. Say, silky saws work a treat. I know, I've done it loads of times. There we are, so that's my thoughts on firelighting on a lawn and using a bow drill and the next fire mentality, courtesy of Uncle Dave, but it's an old thing really. I'm going to finish my cup of tea now, and then I'm going to put these strikers head to head. Two feather sticks, nice fine igniter sticks. Just to be fair, I thought I'd make two. Now I'm going to use the same rod. I'm going to use this one. I've got Old Faithful with me, but Old Faithful's a bit small for use with the striker. It's more for tip of a knife really. So there's the Light My Fire one. There's the one we'll call the Alone one. Let's give them a go. We'll use the LMF one first. Now, the LMF one did light the feather stick first, but that could really be down to better curls. I do find this one a lot more comfortable to hold than the LMF, and I do know one thing, this one you can use both hands and you can do the pulling away method as well. You can't do that on the LMF, it's really fiddly. So although the LMF lit it quicker, I think for use with a feather stick, I think that is better. Next test, scraping fatwood and lighting fatwood. Now it's a bit windy here at the moment, so I hope everything doesn't blow away. Do it on a bit of bark. Obviously a striker, everything in bushcraft and survival should have two uses. So a striker should be able to scrape as well as strike. Well, that was pretty good. Now let's shave this down, get a nice square edge. Well, as a scraper, this one was definitely better. Took off finer scrapings. This one with the little burr that it's got on it just ripped it off, but it did strike the ferro rod better. Right then, well, I'll be honest with you, for me, as a scraper, that wins. And my last test will be lighting birch bark, the easiest stuff in the world. And this is the good stuff. This is the stuff I was sent. That's in another video, don't worry about that. Now, I'm not going to try and shave it up or peel it or anything. So all I'm going to do is take a bundle and see which is the most comfortable to light it. Well, there was nothing in now, and I knew that. It was really easy to light with both. So in my conclusion, I think that is a better all-round striking tool than that. So if you're going to carry one, I would carry that. So I think that was a good choice for the people on the loan to be given one of these. And in the past, I think I've only ever seen one person having a striker, and I was one of them awful little black ones with the rule on the side and a tin opener, and they are complete shit. And I said that before in a video, and somebody did have a go at me saying I'm using it wrong. Well, I've lit a lot of fires with a lot of ferro rods, and as far as I'm concerned, they're crap. Unless you put them on a belt sander or a file to get a burr on them, don't bother, they just skate off. And I think I did that on my 3 ferro rods go head to head video or something, and I'd had a new TBS ferro rod and it arrived with one of them strikers. Far better if they'd invested and put one of them on instead. Well, thank you very much for watching my video, taking the time out of your lives to watch little old me test and drink tea in the woods basically. I'll be back soon with another one. Please give a thumbs up. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye. And just for the hell of it, let's light them with a knife, with a spine. And that's why a sharp spine is better than a striker. Simple. But that just means I gotta do more splitting and chopping and shit. Start that again. Now, the LMF one lighted the ferro. Fucking hell, start again. Hello friends who stay till the end. I got a little story for you. Now you may find this boring, you may not. But I just wanted to tell you how I came about having this. Many years ago, when I was a member of British Blades Forum, which was an excellent forum, but is now gone, which is a shame, because I used to do most of my knife selling on British Blades. There was a member of British Blades from, I believe he was Austria, and his name was Martin Schmidt. And Martin had bought quite a few knives off me. In fact, he was my best customer in the early days. And he'd had, what did he had? He'd had a woodglow clone, he'd had a matching neck knife, and quite a few bush tools of different designs. He liked to tweak the designs and send me his feedback, and I'd make it for him, and he didn't give a shit about the money. Just say, can you make me a bush tool like this? And I think he was the first person who had a 3V or an S30V one off me, because I made 3 of them years ago. The only thing was, the stock I could get at the time, after taking it down and putting a nice finish on it, it was basically sub 3mm, and it was too thin, so I only made 3. But Martin sent me a message one day, and he said, oh, I want to send you something. What's your address? And he sent me this, and he said, excellent striker, use it. I've just come across them. So I used it a few times, and I just put it in the box, because I always use a spine of a knife, and in that box it stayed. Well, Martin, not to be the kind of guy to sit on his hands, he wanted his own knife designed, and he asked me, and to be honest, it was a bit out of my comfort zone. So I left it there. Well, he approached Stuart Mitchell, and Stuart Mitchell is one of the UK's finest knife makers. He's a really nice guy. He's helped me in the past. In fact, he's the guy who sent me a bar of S30V to make my Old Faithful bush tool, the one I rehandled last year. So a nice guy, a genuinely good guy, and an excellent knife maker. And they came up with the Seker knife, which I bought one straight away. Unfortunately, I didn't like it. It wasn't a woods knife, it was a utility survival knife, so it didn't really suit my needs. And over the next couple of years, I actually bought 3 of them, because I really wanted to like that knife. But it didn't suit me, so they went. Something else was bought with the money. But I'm pretty sure it was Stuart contacted me and told me that Martin had passed away. And he'd gone on a survival course to Malaysia. And after the course, he was involved, the minibus he was in crashed, and he was in hospital, and he passed away. Very, very sad, because he was a nice man. And he hadn't long moved to Alaska. He was a pilot. Interesting guy. His name on the forums was Nightfly, because I think he must have flown in the night or something. And yeah, he passed away. But he did offer me to go to Alaska with him and go out in the float plane and spend a week surviving in Alaska. And I couldn't wait. And then the poor guy died, and I lost out on a trip to Alaska. But that's how life is. One minute you're on top of your game, you're living the dream. Next minute you're dead. Very sad. And if Martin's widow is watching this, and she probably isn't, then I am really sad for you. He was a lovely man and a real gentleman. So that's that story over with. Rest in peace, Martin Schmidt. You were a good man. Well, then, about 3 years ago, I decided on a little project to make a ferrorod with lots of tinder aids on it, and I pulled that out of the box, and I've used it now and again ever since. Until the next time, goodbye.